The connection between bladder control and muscle tone is deeper than most people realize. The pelvic floor, lower abdominal muscles, and even the hips form a network of support that regulates when the bladder holds and releases urine. These muscles act like a sophisticated system of checks and balances, constantly adjusting pressure, supporting the bladder, and coordinating with the nervous system to prevent premature emptying. As we age, the strength and responsiveness of these muscles naturally decline, but the decline is not inevitable. It is largely influenced by lifestyle and daily activity patterns. Sitting for long periods, shallow or chest-focused breathing, and weak core engagement reduce the activation of these muscles over time. When they are underused, the bladder begins to receive unclear signals, misinterpreting mild fullness as urgency, which leads to nighttime awakenings. Many people think of pelvic floor exercises as something only women need, but for seniors of all genders, these muscles play a crucial role in maintaining continence. The pelvic floor does more than support the bladder. It also supports the urethra, prostate, and surrounding organs, helping maintain proper alignment and reducing strain on adjacent tissues. Weakness in this area often develops gradually and silently. A slight decrease in tone may go unnoticed during the day but becomes evident at night when the body lies horizontally, pressure changes, and gravity no longer assists fluid distribution. At this point, the bladder reacts to minor fullness, waking you unnecessarily. Strengthening these muscles enhances their ability to communicate with the brain and respond appropriately to signals from the bladder. Intentional exercises help rebuild this communication. Activating the pelvic floor through slow contractions, controlled lifts, or combined core engagement teaches the nervous system to recognize subtle bladder signals accurately. Over time, these exercises increase muscle endurance and responsiveness, allowing the bladder to hold more comfortably until a true need arises. Unlike external devices or medications, which may only mask symptoms, training these muscles restores natural function. It is a gradual process, but it leverages the body's own design for balance and coordination, making it more resilient against age-related decline. Posture and breathing also interact with muscle tone. When the spine is rounded or the lower back weak, the pelvic floor cannot engage fully, reducing its effectiveness. Similarly, shallow breathing limits diaphragm movement, which works in tandem with pelvic muscles to regulate intra-abdominal pressure. Exercises that emphasize proper posture, hip alignment, and diaphragmatic breathing enhance the synergy of these systems. A coordinated pelvic floor and diaphragm create a natural support system for the bladder, reducing unnecessary urgency. This approach is not about extreme training or high intensity, it is about mindful activation, consistency, and integration into daily movement. The benefits extend beyond bladder control. Engaging these muscles improves core stability, supports balance, and enhances overall mobility. Stronger pelvic floor and lower abdominal muscles contribute to better posture and coordination, making walking, standing, and sitting more comfortable and secure. This integrated strength also protects other organs and joints by distributing pressure more evenly, which can reduce strain on the lower back, hips, and knees. For seniors, these improvements translate to confidence in movement, fewer accidents, and a reduction in the subtle fatigue that comes from compensating for weak support muscles. Ultimately, the relationship between muscle tone and bladder function is a conversation between structure and signal. The bladder relies on precise input from the muscles that support it, while the muscles rely on proper movement, posture, and nerve engagement to perform optimally. When these systems are underused, the bladder becomes hyperactive, particularly during the night. When they are trained, coordinated, and strengthened, the bladder receives clear, reliable instructions. The body regains a natural rhythm, and the need to wake repeatedly at night diminishes. This approach empowers seniors to regain control over their sleep, energy, and overall well-being, illustrating that bladder interruptions are not an inevitable consequence of age but a manageable system that responds beautifully to intentional care and exercise. Fluid balance and circulation play a far greater role in nighttime bladder activity than many people realize. The bladder does not act in isolation. It responds to the distribution of fluids throughout the body, which is heavily influenced by movement, gravity, and the efficiency of the cardiovascular system. During the day, gravity naturally pulls fluids down into the legs, ankles, and lower extremities. In a healthy, active system, regular walking and leg movement help return this fluid to circulation so that it can be processed efficiently by the kidneys. However, When movement is limited, as is common in older adults who spend long periods sitting, fluid remains pooled in the lower body. This is often invisible during the day, but when a person lies down at night, the body suddenly redistributes the accumulated fluid, increasing the volume delivered to the kidneys and bladder. The result is a sudden urge to urinate that disrupts sleep, not because the bladder has changed, but because the body is processing fluid more efficiently all at once. Understanding this mechanism opens the door to simple, gentle interventions that reduce nighttime interruptions. Light exercises targeting the calves, ankles, and legs act as natural pumps, helping the fluid move back toward the heart during the day. Even brief periods of leg raises, ankle rotations, or short walks can improve venous return and reduce the amount of fluid waiting to be processed at night. Unlike restrictive diets or medications, these exercises leverage the body's own physiology, enhancing efficiency and allowing the bladder to experience a more manageable load once lying down. Over time, these small interventions create a rhythm that reduces the sudden demand placed on the bladder overnight, promoting uninterrupted sleep. Circulation also interacts with the lymphatic system, which assists in fluid balance by removing excess tissue fluid and transporting it back into circulation. Gentle movement stimulates lymph flow, reducing tissue swelling in the lower extremities and further decreasing the need for nighttime urination. For seniors, who may experience slower circulation due to age-related vascular changes, these movements become even more important. Regular attention to circulation not only protects bladder function but also enhances overall cardiovascular health, joint mobility, and energy levels, illustrating how interconnected these systems truly are. Hydration timing is another key factor influenced by fluid dynamics. Many older adults reduce water intake late in the day to avoid nighttime trips to the bathroom, but this can backfire by concentrating urine and irritating the bladder. When circulation is supported through daytime movement, the body can manage fluids more effectively without restricting hydration. This balance maintains kidney efficiency, prevents dehydration-related issues, and reduces the physiological stress that occurs when the bladder is suddenly overwhelmed at night. The combination of strategic hydration and active circulation restores a natural, rhythmic pattern to fluid processing, allowing both kidneys and bladder to operate more comfortably. Even posture plays a subtle but important role. Standing and walking during the day engage muscles that support circulation, including the calves and thighs. These movements act as a natural venous pump, promoting return of fluids to the central circulation. Conversely, prolonged sitting or slouching reduces pump efficiency, allowing fluids to pool and exacerbate nighttime urgency. Integrating light mobility exercises into daily routines strengthens these natural pumps, reinforcing the body's capacity to manage fluid distribution and maintain bladder calm during sleep. Over time, the cumulative effect of these interventions is profound. Nighttime awakenings due to urinary urgency become less frequent because the body has learned to redistribute fluids gradually, rather than overwhelming the bladder all at once. Energy levels improve, sleep quality increases, and confidence in the body's ability to manage natural processes is restored. Seniors can experience a renewed sense of autonomy and comfort, understanding that bladder control is not solely dependent on age but is a dynamic system influenced by circulation, movement, and daily rhythm. Through intentional, gentle exercises targeting the legs and circulation, the bladder can reclaim a natural resting pattern, reducing interruptions and supporting restorative sleep that rejuvenates both body and mind. The role of breathing and nervous system regulation in bladder function is often underestimated, yet it is one of the most profound influences on urinary control, especially for seniors. The bladder does not simply store and release urine independently, it communicates continuously with the nervous system, which governs urgency signals, reflexes, and timing. When the nervous system is in a state of chronic alertness, it interprets even minor bladder fullness as a signal that requires immediate action. This heightened sensitivity is often compounded by shallow, chest-focused breathing, which is common in sedentary lifestyles or periods of chronic tension. Shallow breathing fails to engage the diaphragm fully, which plays a crucial role in coordinating pressure between the abdominal cavity and the pelvic floor. Without this coordination, bladder muscles receive inconsistent or exaggerated signals, causing premature urgency, frequent daytime trips, and nighttime awakenings. Restoring proper breathing patterns can significantly improve bladder control. Diaphragmatic breathing exercises, performed slowly and intentionally, create a rhythm between the lungs, diaphragm, and pelvic muscles. Each inhale gently expands the abdomen and stimulates awareness of the pelvic floor, while each exhale allows the muscles to release tension. Over time, this trains the nervous system to distinguish between real bladder signals and false alarms caused by stress or muscular misalignment. Seniors often find that a few minutes of calm, focused breathing before bed reduces nighttime urgency because the nervous system has been transitioned from an overactive, sympathetic state into a parasympathetic, restorative mode. The nervous system's role in bladder function is not only about stress but also about reflex coordination. Sensory nerves in the bladder send continuous information to the spinal cord and brain regarding bladder fullness, pressure, and stretch. In an overstimulated system, the brain can interpret minor signals as urgent, causing the bladder to contract unnecessarily. By practicing slow, controlled breathing, the body learns to filter these signals more accurately, allowing the bladder to hold urine without triggering false urgency. This recalibration strengthens the communication loop between the brain, spinal cord, and bladder, resulting in more predictable control and fewer disruptive trips at night. Breathing exercises also have a subtle effect on abdominal and core muscles, which assist the pelvic floor in supporting the bladder. Proper diaphragmatic movement ensures intra-abdominal pressure is balanced, reducing downward strain that can push the bladder toward premature release. Many seniors unknowingly hold tension in the lower abdomen or pelvic region, which further disturbs this balance. Intentional breathing combined with light core engagement trains these muscles to work in harmony, creating a natural support system that stabilizes the bladder. This synergy between breath, core, and pelvic floor allows the bladder to respond more appropriately, reducing nocturia and improving overall urinary control. In addition, breathing exercises influence hormonal and stress-related pathways that directly affect bladder sensitivity. Chronic tension elevates cortisol and sympathetic nervous system activity, both of which increase bladder reactivity. Deep, slow breathing signals safety to the nervous system, lowering stress hormones and encouraging a restorative state. As the body shifts into relaxation, bladder muscles become less reactive, and the urgency signals become more accurate. Over time, the combination of diaphragmatic breathing and nervous system regulation creates a physiological environment where the bladder no longer interprets minor fullness as an emergency, leading to longer uninterrupted sleep and a calmer, more resilient urinary system. The cumulative effect of these exercises is not just about controlling nighttime trips, it enhances overall comfort, energy, and confidence. Seniors often report that integrating breathing and nervous system exercises into their daily routine improves posture, balance, core strength, and even mood. The bladder becomes one part of a larger, harmonized system where the nervous system, muscles, and organs operate in rhythm. By practicing mindful, slow breathing, the body relearns how to communicate accurately, respond appropriately, and maintain control, demonstrating that nocturia is not an inevitable consequence of aging but a system that can be retrained, strengthened, and supported through simple, intentional exercises. Posture and spinal alignment play a subtle yet critical role in bladder control, especially for seniors. The nerves responsible for regulating the bladder originate in the lower spinal segments, connecting the spinal cord to the pelvic floor, bladder wall, and surrounding muscles. When these nerve pathways are compressed, stretched, or misaligned due to poor posture, the communication between the brain and the bladder becomes less precise. Over time, minor misalignments in the lower back or hips can make the bladder hypersensitive, causing it to signal urgency prematurely. This is often most noticeable at night, when lying down removes the stabilizing effects of posture during upright activity, leaving the bladder prone to sending false alarms that wake you repeatedly. Aging naturally brings changes to the spine and surrounding musculature. Vertebrae lose some disc height, ligaments stiffen, and core muscles weaken. These structural shifts can subtly irritate the nerves controlling bladder function, creating an overactive bladder response even without any underlying disease. Seniors may notice they wake more frequently, feel urgency at lower bladder volumes, or experience a sense of incomplete emptying. These changes are not irreversible. Gentle, targeted exercises can improve spinal mobility, release tension in supporting muscles, and restore more accurate nerve signaling to the bladder. Mobility exercises for the hips, lower back, and spine serve multiple purposes simultaneously. They improve flexibility, enhance circulation, and relieve pressure on the sacral nerves that directly influence bladder control. Gentle spinal twists, hip rotations, and bridging movements encourage proper alignment and relieve localized stiffness. These exercises also teach the nervous system how to send more precise messages about bladder fullness, helping distinguish between a real need and a signal generated by tension or misalignment. Over time, this recalibration can reduce unnecessary trips to the bathroom, particularly at night, improving both sleep quality and daily comfort. Posture interacts closely with muscle tone. Weak abdominal, gluteal, and pelvic floor muscles allow the spine to shift forward or collapse slightly, compressing lower vertebrae and altering nerve pathways. By incorporating posture-focused exercises, seniors can strengthen these supporting muscles, creating a natural framework that stabilizes the spine. This stability allows the nerves controlling bladder function to operate in a clear, unobstructed environment. The result is better bladder coordination, reduced urgency, and a greater sense of bodily control that extends beyond urinary function to overall movement and balance. Breathing and posture also work together to support bladder regulation. Proper spinal alignment allows the diaphragm to move freely during inhalation and exhalation, coordinating with the pelvic floor to maintain intra-abdominal pressure. When posture is poor and the spine is compressed, diaphragmatic breathing becomes shallow, tension accumulates in the pelvic region, and the bladder receives confusing or exaggerated signals. By improving posture through gentle mobility and strengthening exercises, seniors restore natural diaphragm function, allowing coordinated breathing and muscle activation. This synergy reduces the overactive bladder response, enhances comfort, and creates a calm baseline for the nervous system to operate efficiently. The cumulative impact of spinal and postural work is profound. Seniors often notice not only fewer nighttime trips to the bathroom but also increased ease of movement, reduced lower back discomfort, and improved balance. Upright posture strengthens confidence, allowing individuals to move without fear of sudden urgency or instability. This holistic approach demonstrates that bladder control is deeply integrated with the musculoskeletal and nervous systems. By focusing on posture and spinal alignment, seniors can restore the body's natural rhythm, enhance nerve communication, and reclaim control over bladder function in a way that supports both sleep and overall quality of life. The concept of rhythm and predictable patterns in the body is central to bladder control, yet it is often overlooked. The bladder, like many other organs, thrives on consistency and signals that help it distinguish between times of activity and times of rest. When routines are irregular, the nervous system receives conflicting messages about when to store urine and when to release it. For seniors, this can manifest as frequent nighttime awakenings, even if the bladder itself is healthy. By establishing daily rhythms through simple, intentional exercises, the body learns to anticipate periods of activity and periods of rest, reinforcing proper timing for bladder emptying and storage. The principle of rhythm extends to the timing of movement. Light exercises performed consistently throughout the day, particularly those targeting the legs, core, and pelvic floor, teach the bladder and surrounding muscles to respond predictably. When activity occurs at regular intervals, the body adapts, processing fluids more efficiently, and the bladder becomes less reactive during the night. These exercises do not need to be strenuous. Gentle mobility, stretching, and activation movements are sufficient to signal to the nervous system that the body is active, hydrated, and capable of handling fluid redistribution appropriately. Over time, the bladder recognizes a pattern, reducing urgency during inappropriate times and improving control overall. Hydration routines also influence rhythm. Drinking fluids consistently throughout the day, rather than consuming large amounts at irregular intervals, allows the kidneys and bladder to operate in a steady, predictable manner. Coupled with daily movement, this approach ensures that fluid is managed gradually rather than overwhelming the bladder all at once. When the body becomes accustomed to regular fluid intake and movement patterns, it establishes a natural cycle, helping the bladder distinguish between true need and false urgency. This rhythmic approach is particularly beneficial for seniors, whose bodies may be more sensitive to abrupt changes in volume or posture, allowing for smoother urinary function and uninterrupted sleep. Timing in the evening is equally important. Gentle, predictable routines before bed, such as slow breathing, light stretching, or mindfulness exercises, signal to the body that it is entering a period of rest. This prepares the bladder to store urine without overreacting and encourages the nervous system to enter a parasympathetic state, where repair and recovery dominate. Consistency in these routines strengthens the internal cues that tell the bladder when to remain relaxed, reinforcing a natural pattern that improves sleep quality. Even small disruptions, such as irregular bedtime movements or late-night fluid intake, can confuse the bladder and disrupt this rhythm, highlighting the importance of predictability and intentional action. Rhythm also interacts with the psychological perception of control. When seniors practice predictable routines that support bladder function, confidence in their bodily autonomy increases. They experience fewer surprises during the night, feel more comfortable engaging in daily activities, and reduce the anxiety that often accompanies frequent urgency. This sense of trust between mind and body strengthens adherence to routines, creating a reinforcing cycle where consistent care leads to improved function, which in turn encourages further consistency. The nervous system learns to operate within these rhythms, and the bladder responds with calm, predictable behavior. Ultimately, rhythm and consistent practice create a system in which the bladder, muscles, circulation, and nervous system operate in harmony. The body learns that activity, rest, hydration, and gentle exercise occur in an organized pattern, allowing the bladder to store and release efficiently. Over time, seniors notice fewer nighttime interruptions, better sleep quality, and a greater sense of stability and control in their daily lives. These predictable, gentle routines demonstrate that bladder regulation is not simply a matter of age or biology alone but a system that responds profoundly to timing, rhythm, and consistent, mindful engagement. If you found these insights helpful and want to continue learning practical, science-backed strategies to stay healthy, strong, and vibrant as you age, don't forget to like this video, share it with friends and family who could benefit, and subscribe to our channel for daily senior wellness tips, nutrition guidance, and simple lifestyle hacks designed to enhance longevity and quality of life. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a new video that can help you live healthier, happier, and more empowered every day.